Ladies and gentlemen, imagine standing before a person who has deceived, manipulated, and drained the life from you. A person who wears a mask so convincing that even they have come to believe it. Now, imagine holding a single question, just one, that can strip away their facade, leaving them defenseless, exposed, and without a place to hide. Would you like to know that question? Stay with me, because by the end of this, you will never look at a narcissist the same way again. There are those among us who walk through life not as who they truly are, but as who they want the world to believe they are. They construct a grand illusion, a dazzling performance, a carefully curated mask that hides the hollow truth beneath. These individuals, masters of deception, do not seek connection, they seek control. And the most dangerous part? Most never see it coming. At first they appear larger than life. Charismatic, charming, effortlessly confident, they tell stories that captivate, weave narratives that inspire, and make you feel as though you've encountered someone truly remarkable. But look a little closer and you'll notice something unsettling. Their words, though powerful, lack sincerity. Their kindness, though grand, is conditional. Their love, though intoxicating, is merely a transaction, because for them, every interaction is not about genuine connection. It's about maintaining their image, feeding their ego, and ensuring they remain the center of attention. They do not reflect on who they are in the quiet moments. They do not look inward, searching for growth, understanding, or self-awareness. No, their focus is outward, on the eyes watching them, the admiration they crave, the applause they cannot live without. They sculpt themselves to fit whatever role grants them the most influence, and if that means pretending to be kind, they will. If that means mimicking empathy, they will. If that means manipulating others into believing they are irreplaceable, they will. But beneath the polished exterior, there is fear. A fear they cannot acknowledge, a fear of being ordinary, a fear of being unseen, a fear of being nothing without an audience to validate their existence. And so they perform, always performing, a never-ending act designed to keep others mesmerized, distracted, and most importantly, under their control. You may have encountered them in your life, the friend who always makes everything about them, the partner who twists every situation in their favor, the leader who demands admiration but offers no true guidance, the colleague who takes credit for your work while ensuring you remain in their shadow. And at first you may have been drawn in, believing their illusion, seeing only the brilliance they projected. But there comes a moment, a shift, where the cracks begin to show, where their need for control becomes suffocating, where their charm turns into manipulation, and where you realize this was never about you. It was always about them. You see, when confronted with truth, a rational person listens, reflects, perhaps even concedes. But those who live behind masks do not operate in the realm of truth. Their world is not built on honesty or accountability, it is built on control. And control demands that they never be wrong, never be questioned, never be exposed. Try to reason with them and watch how swiftly they twist your words, reshape reality, and turn the tables. You come with facts, with logic, with a genuine desire to resolve, and yet somehow you leave the conversation doubting yourself. How did this happen? How did the truth become so distorted? How did you become the villain when all you wanted was clarity? Because that is their power. They do not seek resolution, they seek domination. They are not interested in understanding, only in winning. Every conversation is a battlefield, every disagreement a war to be won, and they will use every weapon at their disposal, guilt, blame, deception, to ensure they emerge victorious, not by proving themselves right, but by making you question your own perception of reality. They will never say, "I was wrong." Never say, "I hurt you." Never say, "I see your pain and I take responsibility." Instead, they will rewrite the past before your very eyes. That never happened. You're too sensitive. You're imagining things. And if that fails, they will shift the focus entirely. Suddenly, it's no longer about what they did, but about how you reacted. Your frustration becomes the issue. Your anger becomes the offense. And before you know it, you are the one defending yourself. So what do? Do you shout? Do you fight? Do you lay out every piece of evidence, hoping that logic will force them to see? No, because there is no winning a game designed for you to lose. Their defense is not built on truth, it is built on illusion. And illusions cannot be dismantled with reason alone. You see, the moment you seek validation from someone who thrives on denying you of it, you have already given them power. The moment you beg them to see what they refuse to acknowledge, you have placed yourself in their hands. The key then is not to force them to admit their deceit. The key is to step outside the game entirely, to recognize their tactics, to refuse to engage on their terms. And when you do, something remarkable happens. The illusion begins to crack. There is a way to disrupt the illusion, a way to make the mask slip without raising your voice, without engaging in their endless game of manipulation. It is not through anger, not through arguments, not through desperate attempts to force them to see the damage they cause. No, it is through something far more powerful. One question that reaches beyond their defenses, that strikes at the very foundation of the false reality they have built. Because you see, beneath the grandiosity, beneath the charm, beneath the carefully constructed image, there is one truth they cannot escape. They do not exist for themselves. They exist for the reaction of others. Their power, their identity, their very sense of self is not rooted in who they are, but in how they are perceived. Take away the admiration, take away the validation, and what remains? Nothing. An emptiness they cannot face, a void they cannot acknowledge. And that is where their greatest weakness lies. There is no need for confrontation, no need for accusations, no need to list every manipulation, every deception, every moment they twisted reality in their favor, because the moment you do, they will turn it back on you. But ask the right question, and they have nowhere to run. Ask the question that forces them to look into the abyss they so desperately avoid. It is not a question they expect. They are prepared for conflict. They are prepared to defend, to deflect, to shift blame. But what they are not prepared for is a question that exposes the truth they fear the most. They believe they control the narrative. They believe they dictate how they are seen, how they are understood, how the world responds to them. But what happens when the world no longer plays along? What happens when the admiration fades, when the validation disappears, when there is no one left to impress? That thought terrifies them, because without an audience, without control, without the endless stream of attention that sustains them, they are forced to face something they have spent their entire lives avoiding, themselves. And that, more than anything, is what they cannot endure. So you ask them, you look them in the eye, calm, unwavering, and you say, what would you do if you could never impress anyone again? A simple question, no accusations, no anger, no room for argument, just a few words, yet they land like a hammer against glass. Watch closely. The moment of hesitation, the flicker of confusion, the almost imperceptible shift in their expression. They were prepared for a fight. They were prepared to twist, to manipulate, to turn your words back on you. But they were not prepared for this, because this question does something no amount of confrontation ever could. It forces them to confront the one thing they cannot exist without: admiration. They might laugh, brush it off, pretend it doesn't matter, but inside something is unraveling. Because for the first time, the spotlight is gone. The applause is silent, the audience has disappeared, and in that silence, something terrifying begins to creep in. A realization they have spent their entire lives avoiding. They are nothing without validation. Every carefully curated moment, every boast, every grand performance, all of it has been for one purpose: to be admired, not to be loved, not to be understood, not to build something real, just to be seen in the way they want to be seen. And now, with just a few words, you have forced them to imagine a world where that no longer exists. They may scoff, change the subject, throw the question back at you. They may even go silent, retreating into themselves in a way they never have before. But do not mistake their reaction for indifference. Inside they are spiraling, because they have no answer. They have spent their entire existence building an image, not a self. without an audience, without admiration, without someone to control what is left. And for the first time they feel it, the emptiness, the void, the thing they have been running from all their lives. Because this is not a question they can manipulate. It is not a question they can twist into an attack against you. It is a question that demands something they do not possess: authenticity. And in that moment you see it. The illusion falters, the mask slips, and they for the first time are exposed. Once you see through the illusion, once you understand that their power was never real but merely borrowed from those who believed in their facade, the final step is to protect yourself. Not through confrontation, not through revenge, not through proving them wrong. Protection comes from something far greater: detachment. The moment you no longer react the way they expect, the moment you stop seeking fairness or justice from someone incapable of giving it, you have already won. They thrive on your emotions, your frustration, your confusion, your desire to make them see what they refuse to acknowledge. These are the strings they pull to keep you tangled in their web. But imagine what happens when those strings are cut. When your words no longer seek their validation, when your silence speaks louder than any argument, when your energy is no longer spent deciphering their contradictions but reclaiming your own clarity. Without control over your emotions, without the ability to provoke a reaction, they are powerless. There is a reason they push your buttons, a reason they create chaos where none exists, a reason they twist every situation to keep you off balance. It is because if you are always on the defensive, if you are always explaining yourself, if you are always trying to make sense of their madness, then you are too distracted to realize the truth. They were never worth the fight. Their power was never in who they are, but in how much you allowed them to affect you. Detachment is not coldness, it is not cruelty, it is not indifference to the suffering of others. It is simply the refusal to let someone else dictate your emotions, your sense of self, your peace of mind. It is the quiet realization that you do not need to fix them, you do not need to expose them, you do not need to convince them of anything. The only thing you need to do is recognize them for what they are and make the conscious decision to no longer participate, because they will never change. They will never wake up one day and see the damage they've done. They will never offer the closure you seek, the apology you deserve, the understanding you once hoped for. But you can change. You can take back your power, your clarity, your peace, and once you do, there is nothing they can do to pull you back in. So the next time you stand before a narcissist, remember this: you are not their pawn, you are not their supply. You hold the power, and with the right question, you can take it back. And that, my friends, is how you expose a narcissist. Stay strong, stay wise, and never forget their greatest fear is being seen. Thank you.